Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, the drivers of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series hit the critical moment of the season. It's the second to last race of the regular season to see who's going to have enough points or can you steal a win to make the playoffs, as next week at Las Vegas will officially be the end of the regular season where 16 drivers make the playoffs and hunt for the Season 6 championship. All drivers, all eyes on tonight as we go back with a little bit more nostalgia as the drivers test out their skills at the Lemon Stone Extravaganza at Lime Rock Park. This track was ran back in Season 1 about 2.5 years ago, and these drivers now know how to drive this course, but it's been so long. Do they know the course as well as they would hope? We have some factors of drivers that have won before at this track. Vincent Sora trying to become the only driver that's ever won here. Other drivers have found some sneaky speed since Season 1 at the road courses. Well, thank you again for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up in the booth is going to be Zach Hall. And Zach, we haven't seen this track for a while, but we've always had the sensation that the track was going to come back, and it finally does at the end of Season 6's regular season.
Oh, I'm so excited for tonight, Sam. When I saw it on the schedule, I was like, yes, thank you. This is what I've been asking for. I mean, ever since that Season 1 race we had, I felt like it was, it was a good race, but maybe some didn't like it, but it just had so many external factors. This track is just a very tricky one in itself, only 1.5 miles in distance and only 9 corners. So it's very short, very fast lap times, around 54 seconds is what the pole is going to most likely be around. But I'd say it's going to be a fun time seeing who can navigate traffic and navigate these very narrow roads here at Lime Rock.
Well, as you see, the Gnome's out. That's Gnome is set on the last corner and is ready for some racing action. So are we, as we set our sights to go trackside as qualifying is underway. All drivers were given a total of 10 minutes to put down their fastest time, and they only have 2 laps to put down that fast lap. And with how fast we've seen the drivers, I feel like back in Season 1, there was a lot of time where drivers were practicing, but the skill level wasn't the same. Here in Season 6, we've seen a lot of growth by all drivers. Curious on who's going to find that true speed to top the board based off of practice and based off of how the week's practice has progressed. Seems like Nick Crawford, one of the faster drivers to watch out for, but Vincent Sora, obviously another top driver to talk about on where their raw speed is going to be at. But qualifying, Zach, obviously going to be something everyone's trying to hit their marks perfectly, but he easily can make some mistakes.
Very easy to make mistakes for sure, Sam. And already to the top of the board, it's the 15 of Vincent Sora. We'll see as more times come through. I believe Nick Crawford going to now jump up to the top of the board. So we'll see if the second lap time is what produces speed, or is it going to be the first? I was kind of watching that in that practice session to see, how these drivers are going to find that speed, so to say, and it seemed like you could do it either way. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some pickup here on these second laps.
Driver's going to be doing a lot of shifting, but all these corners very different and unique on how you want to drive them, as we've got some long sweeping corners. We have the quick chicanes the drivers are dealing with. We've got verticality as well as seeing drivers hard on the brakes at times. And Joshua Kanata kind of giving us into a section that's going to be the toughest of the whole entire night. It's the chicanes that the 16 hits now.
That is those chicanes, man. They got those giant red, I guess you could call them turtles maybe, but I would almost call them mountains there, because you really don't want to be hitting those too much. If you're hitting those, it really upsets the truck, and it's definitely something you're going to have to navigate, especially if you go through a too wide, as we see Kanata coming out of the final corner now and down the straightaway. We'll see what his time is going to do here. It looks like it's going to put him up to 12th on the board there.
I was talking to Josh. He was saying 8th to 12th. That's the range of finishing position he's hoping for. And I think a lot of drivers entering tonight have their different levels of confidence, comfortability, what laps. Maybe they were hoping to hit lap times for qualifying and practice, but ultimately finishing positions. It's all about just staying on course. There's a couple of spots you really can send it off and actually find some trouble of getting into the grass or into some walls, as John Forbes, who's been having a fabulous season so far, the 11, hoping to find a little bit of extra speed on his second lap. First lap did not count, went over the grass, which invalidated his lap time. Now on the downhill, the last corner on track, the 11 machines hoping to find some speed that might climb him inside of the top 10, maybe even the top 5. It's across the line for Forbes. Again, his first lap didn't count, second one will. 6th on the board for the 11.
Great job there to pick up the 6 after not getting that first one count. So, you know, if you wouldn't have had both of those laps going, if you start around the 19th and 20th position with your Forbes, you're going to be very, very, worried about how this 60 laps is going to play out. But now starting 6th, it gives them an opportunity to fight for really anything now.
Jesse Thornock in the 20 machine, usually missing out on practice a lot, and will just show up for qualifying. Grazes the grass there. Not sure if this second lap is going to count. Was 19th on the board after the first lap was put down, but I think because of touching the grass on the back stretch down into turn number 8, not going to be counting hard on the brakes, and for the 20 machine, going to be taking that final spot for himself and just going to get some extra practice time on track, as these drivers still have about 4 minutes and 35 seconds left in qualifying. Majority of the field has already put down their fastest laps, and I've already finished up their time. So it's more of just 4 minutes for us to just talk about this track, kind of talk about the scenarios we're going into for this season, as we've already ran 9 races this season. But Zach, last week, Pocono, I wasn't there to be commentating. Yourself and Robert Moyer were there. Pocono, tricky triangle, certainly had some tricky moments for the field.
It really did. Pocono was a wild one, man, and it had its ups and downs, and I'm sure tonight we could see some of that ups and downs. Head over here to Lime Rock Park. You get to see this track from the aerial view. It's just so tiny. The whole track fits in this one aerial shot, and you're not even that far above, the track. So it just goes to show, what these drivers are going to be dealing with tonight, when especially they catch lap traffic here pretty early. We're not dealing with the most trucks here tonight, but I still think traffic is going to play a big factor, especially with the width of the racetrack. I think that's underestimated by a lot of people. It makes passing pretty much a 2-lane road, where if you don't really have too much wiggle room, you got about a half a lane to the grass on either side, and one driver makes that mistake, gets in that grass, this could be sayonara for both. So we'll just see how the night progresses, but it's going to be definitely a fun one, as this track is from the past has produced some good ones.
It certainly has, and with the field and with this track just being 1.5 miles in length, we're expecting the first maybe 10, 15 laps going to be pretty easy and gentle. But after those 10, 15 laps, lap traffic is going to become that key factor. And another thing that changes from the first time they ran back in season 1 to now, there are extra laps that the field will be running. 60 laps will be ran here tonight. There will be a stage at the end of lap 15, but no yellow flag will be thrown at that stage. Also, these drivers, no fast repair, 4 sets of tires in pit road to work with. But the fuel window and when you want to come into pit road, going to be a big thing that was not here back in season 1. The drivers did not have to pit during that race. They do have to pit, though, during this race. And the pit entry looks terrifying for all drivers.
That is one thing, talking to a few myself, talked about, is it is pretty much a chicane itself going into pit road. And it's a very narrow window. If you make a huge mistake, you could end your night in pit road, or get a penalty that pretty much ends your night there also, of any, where you felt like you were going to finish before. So definitely going to be a place of definite worry when they come down. It's just going to be the question of, when do they come down? Fuel, puts the range of where they can go upwards of around 50 laps here, Sam. But the tires is going to be the big thing. It's going to be, when do you want to get those tires?
As race control and admins talking to the field, seeing if anyone else is going to be qualifying. They might be advancing the session, and it looks like they will be advancing it Qualifying now fully complete, and with qualifying over, there will be a few drivers that will have to start at the end of the line with an EOL penalty, being Anthony Gaudio, Aaron Krolick, Travis Everett, and Malik Kuntz, who has not ran since the end of Gateway. This penalty is carried over since then. He'll have to start at the end of the line. Aaron Krolick, though, he's going to have an L1 start at the end of the line, but because of how egregious some of the wrecks were at Pocono last week, he also will have a 3-week probation period for the L1, an ARCA brake penalty for Anthony Gaudio. All will have to start at the end of the line. But as we're in the warm-ups, 5 minutes to let the drivers figure out where their pit stalls are and get that little bit of extra practice of racing with other drivers around you. Gives us time to take a look at the standings coming into tonight. This is critical for these drivers. You see the cutoff line. It's Dakota Moniz, Tyler Dangler. Those are the big dogs to watch out for. But your biggest mover after last week was going to be Jarrett Talmadge in the 10 machine. Jarrett Talmadge, 20th in points, and he still has a chance to even point his way in and make the playoffs with how consistent he's been these last 3 races.
He's been climbing so fast, Sam. And, you know, we saw last week at Pocono, he was just really a huge factor in that race. I think he'll do good tonight also here at Lime Rock. I think he'll get some good points here. I think you could very well see Jarrett Talmadge after tonight be in points-wise. But that, you know, that still leaves a race where if something goes wrong, he could be, knocking himself out too also. So all the play here for a lot of these drivers right now around this cut line. And it's coming up to playoff time with only 2 races to go. They got to get it done if they're going to ever do it.
And if you're inside of the top 25 in points, you get a win, it will automatically book your ticket into the playoffs. So if you're Dakota Moniz, Tyler Dangler, Eric Krog, even Matthew Greathouse, you are not 100% safe with where you run, because next week we head to Las Vegas, where we've seen upsets happen at that track. You never know, we might see another upset happen there. But as we move away from our standings, we get to take a look at how this season has been looking. As we take a look at our schedule, Pocono last week won by Vincent Sora, who's been on a 2-race winning streak, but ultimately has been the top dog. If you look at how this season's been, no surprise, the season 1 champ has kind of started off this season, has carried all the way through from where he left off back in season 1.
Not much of a surprise, yeah, Sam, for sure. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with, and tonight he'll definitely be one also, and even in Las Vegas heading into next week to close out the regular season. So it's gonna be fun to watch how it all closes out. But Lime Rock could be a crucial one for, like we were just looking at, those points that sets up that playoffs that loom just ahead of us.
As we see, it's going to be Lime Rock, Las Vegas, last race of the regular season. We'll talk more about where the field is going to be set going into the playoffs later on in tonight's race. But coming up to 2 minutes left in the warm-up period, it's time to play our game of the pick'ems. Who do we think is going to be the winner of tonight's race? We'll start off with my pick. Who do I think is going to win? I mean, I haven't picked him at all since we started the pick'ems. I'm going to go with the driver that won this race back in season 1. Vincent Sora is my pick to who I think is going to win this race. He's got a little bit of work to deal with, though, as he will not be starting on the pole here tonight.
That he will not be, Sam. That's because I'm going to be picking the guy that's starting ahead of him. I'm going to be picking the 74 of Nick Crawford. This driver has a knack for doing very well on these oddball style road courses that you're not normally on the schedule. I think Nick Crawford could be the driver that adapts the best, and it could be a battle between those two.
Hey, both very solid picks that we have. Let's see what Robert Moyer Jr., our producer's pick's going to be. And he's going with another road course driver that has ran well in the past, Christopher Norris in the 38 machine. I think, Zach, you might have a better feeling on the confidence level for the 38. But I got to say, I think Christopher Norris, he might be in a spot where he could be the stealer if we find some issues with the drivers up front getting into one another.
I like that pick, actually. I think he comes in tonight with not a lot of confidence underneath that 38's belt with this season. But I tell you what, a road course is a place that could spark it up. And if anything happens with those drivers up front, I'm telling you that 38 is going to be within that podium region and that top 5 area to maybe sweep up something here. So I like that pick. I think all 3 of us may be in for a very good night here, possibly.
And there's still a few other drivers that you could say have chances to win here tonight. It's completely open on about, I would say, 5 to 6 window of drivers that have a chance to get into victory lane. but they might have to see if the cards lay out perfectly for them here tonight. I know under the warm-up period, a lot of drivers have been practicing how to get into pit road. It's going to be a critical moment of the race, but we're not expecting pit stops until around the halfway, maybe even later on in tonight's race. But for the drivers here tonight, warm-up period's about to be finished. Qualifying's over, practice is done. It's about to be race time for the 10th race of the season for the ISRC Larry Art Productions Truck Series. Also want to do a quick shout out and thank you to Larry Art Productions, Hot Lap Threads, and as well Morecast. We'll talk about them more later on here this evening. As warm-up period is done, the drivers start to grid up. It's time for 60 laps at Lime Rock Park for the Lemon Stone Extravaganza. As we take a look at our starting grid here this evening, we're going to be seeing the top dog being Nick Crawford in the 74. To his outside, it's going to be Vincent Sora. Thomas Green in third position for the 00. Christopher Norris going to start in fourth. Danny Cochran back in fifth position. John Forbes sixth. Seventh, we find Cody Reed. Cedric Hunter back in eighth. Ninth, we find Jarrett Talmadge. And finish it out, our top 10, we find ourselves with the 16 of Joshua Kanata.
Starting in 11th is the 3 of Anthony Gaudio. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 24 of Ali Fonseca. 13th is going to go to Ryan Ferraro, with 14th being the 19 of Tyler Dingwood. 15th position is going to be the 17 of Mason Cassidy, with 16th going to the 01 Aaron Kralik with his penalty, taking him to the back of the field. 17th is going to go to Samuel Garcia. 18th is going to be the 91 of Mark Morales. 19th is going to be the 20 of Jesse Thornick. Rounding out our top 20 is GT Arzari. And our final 4 trucks on the field here tonight for our 24 trucks. In 21st is Malik Kuntz. 22nd is going to be Joshua Freak. 23rd is going to be Justin Smith. And rounding out our 24 trucks is Tyler Long.
As 24 drivers will be taking the green here tonight. I know some drivers were getting worried. They weren't expecting there to be over 35 drivers to show up, but if we had more than 35, pit stall situation would have been a little bit more complicated because there's only 35 stalls that are set up. Not a track that you expect to have a ton of trucks on. Usually this is for the IMSA class. Seeing drivers running in the GT IMSA classes, the course it's mostly and vehicles are known to be running on this course. The ISRC always willing to test out different vehicles at odd tracks that you don't usually get to see these trucks run on. But for tonight, they wait for the official go as Cody Reed, Aaron Kralik still waiting to get on course. As Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora going to be those top drivers waiting to take off as we ride on board for a quick moment there in the pace car. Zach, this track going to be a tough one to talk about, but corner one as we're rolling off, this first corner is going to be an interesting overall corner to start this race off.
It really could be. You know, we you know, Sam, you did the research. You went back and looked at, you know, the start of, or really the broadcast from the season 1 of this race, and we all talked about turn 1's going to be calamity corner, you know, getting down there the first time. But it really all came down to where we get down to the chicane down here farther into the upper part of the track, because, you know, we thought turn 1 was going to be mayhem, but it very well could be tonight. You know, it doesn't mean just because it was season 1 it was fine and we're going to be clean and green. But if we go side by side through here, it's going to be wild, because it's going to set up a situation where, again, this road's not very wide and they come through too wide down towards the chicane. That's where I think the problems may start to rear up.
With the chicane, this course is a total of 9 corners. Without the chicane, it'd be just 7. As the field now enters the toughest spot after going down the no-name stretch. It's kind of the back stretch these drivers deal with. They then hit the bottom of the uphill chicane. They climb up the hill at turn 5, but they now turn into turn number 7. Turn 8's where they start the west bend, going downhill as we get ready for the official downhill turn. Last corner of the track. It's going to be a tough one overall for drivers. They have been hearing rumors of, we're still trying to figure out this last corner and where the best marks are to turn in. Do you need brakes? Do you need to worry about slowing down? Well, hopefully you've gotten all those notes down, because it is time for us to go green flag racing. The Lemon Stone Extravaganza gonna be underway. We are green for race number 10 of the season. Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, and the rest of the field 2x2 down into turn number 1, trying to give each other plenty of space as they go through the big bend of turn 1, 2, and they finally get straight before they have to automatically make a turn into turn number 3. The field all stay on course, but here we go, Zach, as they prepare for turn 4 and the straightaway before they hit the chicane.
Excellent start from Nick Crawford, but Vincent Sora with contact from Thomas Green slid back to a couple rows deep, but he worked his way around the outside along with Christopher Norris, as now it's Crawford, Sora, Norris, your top 3 as they head through the chicane.
Side by side, gotta be Talmadge, John Forbes trying to make sure that they hit their marks. Don't want to hit those red turtles. Like Zach said, they're more like mountains. If you hit them, you're most likely going to be seeing your race being done with the amount of damage to those 10s that those red turtles do. As just like that, as quickly as you blink, lap 1 is done as Nick Crawford crosses the line. They'll take that lap lead as the rest of the field. Lap 1's done, and they're already starting to space out quite a bit. It's only going to take, I think, Zach, 8 laps before lap traffic's here.
I think you're exactly right, because, you know, when you think about it, the lap times are going to be much slower once we get into this race, just everybody stacked up on top of each other. While you'll have Crawford out front, he's going to have pretty much practice laps in front of him to run out here, unless we can have the likes of Sora pull up to the back bumper and race him, because that's just going to make them that much slower compared to if they weren't running side by side. So we'll see how long it takes to get the traffic, but right now the leader's quickly trying to get away from anything behind him.
Trying to hit your marks, trying to hit your gearings right. Christopher Norris trying to run up into second place. Right behind them, though, you find the 25 machine. Cody Reed currently runs in 6th position, trying to catch up to Danny Cochran. But Levi's is trying to move forward for themselves as trouble strikes drivers further on back. Eric Krolick in the 01 going to be the first driver really with some issues, and it looks like it was at the chicane.
That it was. Looked like some major issues there. It looks like he'll get it back going, but no front clip for that truck. So we'll see if he has to pull it down, and it'll be a required damage, not for the 01, but the 26 of Tyler Horn. So Horn maybe has gotten some damage from that, as we'll go back and see how this worked out right here. So
looks to be double issues, but for Eric Krolick, it's going to be racing side by side with Malik Coons. Got to get some off sequence. Trying to run up, hits the barrel, hits the turtle, continues to be pushed in the inside wall, and that small little tap, and then clobbered by Horn. Well, there's where the clip went away. And for Horn, he then also gets into the wall later on, but big issues for those drivers. As we're back to live action, Nick Crawford pulling away, less than a second difference between Crawford and Sora for the lead. But behind them, still some great racing action. John Force trying to set up to get by his teammate Cody Reed as they head down into turn number 1.
I tell you what, a lot of people have been flirting with the grass on the exit of that final corner and almost using it to good avail. That time John Force was actually in the grass and got a better run out of there than his teammate ahead and made that setup for that pass. So we'll see if they start running off track a little bit more. I don't believe there's no incident limit here tonight. Yeah, no incident limit, so no harm, no foul if it's working.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen past races where if there's no incident limits, drivers will abuse it to the fullest ability to keep as much speed as possible. And seen a few drivers willing to go up the rumble strips. And once again, John Forbes using the rumble strips, almost touching the grass. And now at the top of the hill, goes on the downhill climb to the final corner of the race and hits the white line, lets it drift out, and expect drivers to hit that grass periodically. It's when you're hoping your steering wheel's pointed straight when you hit that grass.
That's for sure. If it's pointed not straight, you might end up in the barrier, or you might end up back across the racetrack in someone else's path. As we're riding on board with Cedric Hunter here, he's on the back bumper. Jared Talmadge here, and it looks like Cedric Hunter, lost a spot from the start to Jared Talmadge, and he's trying to work him back over to get in that position. But they got Reed right in front of him, and it's going to be a tough track to pass. There's really not many places to do it, and personally, in my opinion, you're going to have to get your elbows out kind of if you want to.
Yeah, looking back at that season 1 race, it looked to be only about 2 spots you could truly make passes at. It was on the entry into turn 1 after you get a great exit on the final bend, and then also heading into the chicane. Those were really your top 2 spots to try to make some passes, real dive bomb move positions. But you have to be setting up to be as close as you can for those big moves. There's another driver going to be in trouble. It looks to be the 20 machine, Jesse Thornop. Again, trouble at the chicane, and drivers continuing to have little falters periodically here on track. But as this run progresses, the tire wear is going to be a bigger conversation as this run moves on.
That it will. I mean, you're going to see the lap times definitely drop off, but you're going to not see as much of a drop off compared to other tracks just due to the distance of this racetrack. It's only a mile and a half in a length, and that, most road courses we're going to are upwards into 2 miles and almost 3 miles in length. So it makes those lap times much longer and makes for say a lot of time a fall off too. So definitely makes it interesting. But the other big thing is Cody Reed off there into the chicane. That's a big loss of position for him as it drops him back to 12th. But you can see that weather there. That is going to have a huge factor because we started this race in the morning. It's only going to continue to raise that sun up over this racetrack.
Cody Reed looked to be a lockup on the entry of the chicane where he's lost over 8 positions for himself. But yeah, that weather condition is going to be the aspect that's going to be the watching part. Track temp, 88 degrees. Will it hit the 90s? Or will it stay just below as the field continues to race on? And Crawford's leads up to a second. But here's another great battle that's going on for 4th place. Thomas Green, Danny Cochran, they're right on top of one another as the 00 trying to have a good run for himself. But Danny Cochran, another road course specialist, you could say. You go to a road course expecting the 2 to be a driver inside of our top 5 every single time. And right now he is doing just that, being up front trying to challenge the 00.
It kind of feels like the top 5 kind of in their own little class of their own tonight when it comes to their lap times. So these are really the drivers that are dropping the 55s consistently in race pace, and it's showing right now for this top 5 who is really separating themselves from the likes of back to John Forbes, who is trying to claw his way towards them, but it's going to be tough. We'll look back to now the 24 of Ali Fonseca, having a good run for Ali here for his sake for a road course race. Same with him in Canada, 9th and 10th for these two. They got Tyler Dingler right in tow, who looks to be a good bit quicker.
Tyler Dingler, remember, is the driver just outside of the cutoff line coming into tonight's race. Dakota Moniz was the driver that Tyler Dangler needed to be in front of, as well as trying to be in front of the 01 of Eric Kralik. So Tyler's doing exactly what he needs to do, trying to point his way into the playoffs with certain drivers having issues so far here tonight. Back into pit road is Tyler Horn. Jesse Thornton had to take a toe to pit road, and just entering is Malik Kuntz. So only 21 drivers are out on track. It's allowing the field that needed points. They're having a great run. As here's a little bit of a pod cluster. These are drivers from 13th all the way back to 17th on screen.
This is definitely a little cluster, so to say, and this 50 Garcia, they're kind of a little bit sideways a few times. We see Gaudio behind him. He got even more sideways going next to that final corner as they got Ferraro not too far in tow, but anybody from 16th all the way up to that 13th position could be changing positions at any moment in one of these corners because, again, not a very wide track, so that grass looms, and as you hit that grass, it's definitely a major factor.
Yeah, and the tire wear for some of these drivers. I was talking to Nick Crawford, and he was trying to help out Cody Reed on finding more speed on this track and figured out actually you can run a lot faster by taking it easier, taking it a lot smoother, letting the car drift a little bit more. And I think for some of these drivers maybe further on back, they're jabbing the throttle, getting the rear ends fired up, and it's only making these runs as this race progresses forward just be worse and worse on the rear end.
It is getting a lot worse on the rear end, and I'll tell you what. Oh, no. Looks like we might have some technical issues here, folks, as we're working on getting the session back to him.
Yeah, it looks like we have lost the session on Robert's side, so as Robert is getting that situated, we currently are trying to get all this rebooting of the game to get back into the server. Currently, I believe, Zach, you're still in the session?
Yes, still in the session, and I tell you what, the lead is starting to heat up a little bit, but it looks like Crawford is kind of skirted away here in the last few moments.
As the leaders are just now entering turn number 1, as Robert is trying to get us live footage back for you as the audience. But currently, for the leaders, they are just exiting out of turn number 2. Vincent Sora going to be a half second back off of Nick Crawford. Crawford still keeping the lead at this time, as now they're going to be exiting out of turn number 4, hitting the no-name stretch straight as they head towards the chicane. Still about a half second in difference. They're keeping it equal distance at this moment, hitting the chicane, still close to one another. So we are, I want to say thank you to everyone who's being patient with us as we're getting all of our technicals trying to get figured out. I know iRacing this week has had some issues. They had an update trying to do a hot fix on some of their servers. I know some of the servers have been struggling this weekend. Looks like maybe another struggle is I believe we have Robert back in the session, so giving us some live feed at the moment.
That's good to see here. So everything's getting back up today. So we're watching that battle for 7th. As it looks like Green has fell back to 6th here. He's gotten made a mistake back from 4th to 6th, and he's fell back to his teammate here, along with Cedric Hunter. So we'll see how that works out. But I tell you what, while this is all playing out too, you even got Vincent Sora. He's closed the gap down to about a half a second, and he's definitely putting pressure on our leader, Crawford.
Keeping the pressure on, and then the question starts to linger as we are inching closer and closer to the end of lap 15. And lap 15 will be the stage break. Top 10 drivers will get bonus points, and Vincent Sora wants the lead. Batting's back on the back bumper, as close as he's been all race long, as they're at the top of the hill, heading down the west bend into the downhill corner. And it's finding Nick Crawford needs a good launch off the exit, because if Sora finds the better exit, he's going to have a chance to dive bomb down into turn number 1. They'll stay equal distance. Another lap down. We have 3 laps to go before we have our stage coming to a conclusion. We'll stay green. No yellow flag will be thrown, but top 10 drivers will get bonus points.
That they will. I'll tell you what, this battle is going to get very spicy here when they get down to the chicane. I've been watching Crawford and Sora. They're pretty equal around most spots of the racetrack, but up ahead of them, there is smoke ahead. I'm not sure what that's coming from. Maybe that's Justin Smith in the 6, who is a little bit slower here up ahead of him. There we go down to chicane. This is where Crawford's struggle has been. He hasn't been able to get that truck slowed down and pointing here to get the run out. This time he does, is able to actually get a little bit of a gap back to Sora, but it's all very important about how you get that truck pointed through the middle to get the drive up over the hill.
And it looks like the timing is going to be perfect for Justin Smith to try to get out of the way as they hit the front stretch. It looks like the 6 machine will back it down, letting our leaders drive on by, and a courteous drive by the 6. And this was something that drivers were concerned about. Were we going to see the courteous driving, or were drivers just going to be willing to run their own, preferred lap positioning, as the 6 accidentally goes off course? A little bit of dirt tracking as the leaders drive on by. We do have an update on Tyler Horn, Jesse Thornock, Malik Kuntz, all have pulled it into pit road and have called it a night as they're having their own issues.
Man, oh man, it just shows you how quick things can sneak up on you here at this track, and caught a few off guard, but here's Cedric Hunter still trying to work over the 10 of Jared Talmadge. He's had a little bit of a tough time doing that, and it's just not been able to get it done yet, but still fighting for a good position. I know talking to him tonight, he felt like if he could just come out here with a top 10, he'd be happy.
I felt like a lot of drivers were feeling that. Top 10, top 15, we'll take that as a victory, as long as you're not finishing last. And that was kind of the main goal for a lot of drivers, as Joshua Freed's been in pit road, got 20 drivers out on track at the moment. As Nick Crawford continues to lead up ahead, as take a look at Joshua Kanata having Tyler Dangler, Ollie Fonseca getting in the mix. This is challenging for 9th, 10th, and 11th between this crew. And Tyler Dangler, I think he's the main driver that won in this track all the way back in season 1, and it outperformed what drivers maybe expected. Needed a break because the track's so different and unique. You got a bunch of other traditional road courses to go to, but I know Tyler was excited to be back here at this course.
Oh, definitely, for sure. I know Tyler was one of the major proponents to get it back on the schedule, and good job on him. I think it's set up quite the race, because I mean it's just such a different race in my opinion to a lot of other road courses that we see. You see these guys slipping and sliding around, and we're only on lap 15. These drivers are going to be looking to go on upwards of another 15 laps before they look to pit, and we'll see what kind of strategies are employed. But right now, Dingler, Fonseca about 23 seconds behind our leader of Crawford. We're about 16 laps into this race. This is going to be interesting, because I think really the major traffic jam that these leaders might get into that might hurt them a little bit, it's going to be around that lap 32, 35 mark, I think, of this race or so, right after those pit sequences possibly happen. So it's going to be a tricky time there once we get to that pit stop.
Another driver going to call it is Joshua Freed, who was trying to get repairs done, decides, you know what, we're just going to call it a night here this evening. GT Irizarry, after an absolute explosion back last week at Pocono in the 14, trying to have a solid run for himself, currently in 17th position, kind of a little bit of no man's land. You can see Ryan Ferraro slightly ahead of him. No one's really close behind, as Ryan Ferraro having his own just, stay stable type of a race.
I'll tell you what, the leaders just got some traffic for the first time tonight, and that was Aaron Kralik. and that 01 machine, major damage on that nose we talked about. That truck is majorly off the pace, and it really kind of, I think, caught Vinny off guard where he got him, and lost a couple tenths to our leader Crawford, who actually narrowly escaped by him too.
Able to build up the lead to over a second now is the difference between first and second. That little bit of a blip with lap traffic helping the 74. Christopher Norris, though, that runs in third, about 7 seconds off our leader. And again, Christopher Norris in that position where if our leaders have issues, he's going to try to steal it away. And by issue, I mean a major wreck that forces our leaders into pit road. 38 having a good run, but Danny Cochran right behind, trying to close in on that distance if possible, but last lap was not the speed the two is looking for. Currently runs in fourth, and actually looking at the lap times, John Forbes might be a little bit faster than this too, but luckily there's a big enough gap that Danny Cochran's feeling slightly comfortable.
Pretty equal distance between the 2 and the 38 compared to the 2 and the 11, so Danny Cochran kind of in the middle of two different drivers, and looks to be a little bit quicker than Norris that last time, but John Forbes quicker than both of them. So this group could start to stack up a little bit here for this third position on back. And again, the more we get into lap traffic, the more it's going to affect things. As I think now Mark Morales again just one lap down. GT Sorry, the next to go lap down, 38 seconds behind the leader. It's going to be a while for the next car goes a lap down, but I'll tell you what, I'm already seeing lap traffic be a big factor.
And lap traffic has been helping Nick Crawford out. A little bit of a loss of time trying to get by Mark Morales, but it really hurt Vincent Sora the worst as they were getting by the 91. Now this can probably be one of the bigger gaps that our leaders are going to have to worry about because they got some fresh air. Not a lot of challengers for at least another, I would say, maybe even until they have to come to pit road. They've got a little bit of space to work with. Like you said, next driver they're going to have to get by is GT Irizarry. Right now, Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, they're going to be comfortable where they're at this moment. But again, close battles are happening as trouble strikes for 6th place minute runner. Now going to fall back to 8th. That's Thomas Green as he will go off track at turn 1. But his teammate of Jared Talmadge trying to make the move for 6th place as the 7, Cedric Hunter, put the pressure on the 10, not allowing Talmadge to get away that easily. But the 10 luckily will make that pass, and those are major points for Talmadge. He needs every stage point possible that he was able to grab back at the end of lap 10. And now the 10, it's all about grabbing every position possible for finish out tonight's race with every point.
That's exactly right. So he's going to fight tooth and nail. And I tell you what, the biggest thing for him is just to get solid points. I mean, if anything, giving it one spot is not going to be too critical. I wouldn't play with too much fire out there, I would so to say, because sometimes at road courses you can hold guys up enough to where they just say, well, you know what, I'm using you as the brake and you're going to get out of the way. And right here, I think Cedric Hunter might use them up just a little bit here on the exit. If anything, get those elbows out. But seems like playing pretty nice right now from the 7 as these two having a great race. Side
by side, who's going to keep this 6th place position? Talmadge has the advancement for a quick moment, but now the advantage goes to the 7, but Talmadge back into the throttle. They'll stay side by side down the no-name straight as they head to the chicane. At the uphill chicane, up through the corner, they stay side by side, using every rumble strip and bump possible, and it's the 10. He'll keep that position for himself. But for how long is going to be the key thing? I do want to say thank you to our major sponsors again, Larry Art Productions, as well as Last Lap, the Hot Lap Threads. Was not able to give you the Morecast kind of rundown of our stage finishers because we were having technical issues. We want to give a huge congratulations to Nick Crawford for being our Morecast stage winner. As the Morecast, head on over to Morecast on Instagram for a variety of NASCAR content, including diecast memes, iRacing, and check out on YouTube for diecast reviews, NASCAR discussions, and more. Thank you so much to Morecast for being your stage winner. That stage winner goes to Nick Crawford in the 74 as the battle for 6th continues to rage. Looking at other positionings at the moment, I would say the other cluster of drivers that are slightly close in trying to hold on, it's going to be this battle currently at the moment. GT Irizarry, Ryan Ferraro right on top of one another. This is the battle going on for 16th position.
Ferraro right here on the back bumper of Irizarry, and I think Irizarry has gotten around him here these last few laps, and Ferraro just trying to hang on, maybe stay here within touch, but See how much he gains on the entry there, but it's the exit where at 14 looking to just drive away with a superior grip. And Ferraro, I think, going to see that 14 get a lot smaller in that windshield. And Ferraro only about 10 seconds to about 12 seconds ahead of our leader. He'll be the next driver possibly to go a lap down.
As the field inches closer and closer to lap 30, the halfway zone of this race. I mean, it's crazy to think, Zach, back in season 1, the race was only 45 laps, and we would already be at the halfway point of this race. Crazy to think, as right now, Ollie Fonseca, Tyler Dangler battling for 10th position, and Tyler Dangler looking a lot more stable than the 24 at this moment, but Dangler not having the bravery to try to go onto the inside and set up for this pass just yet, trying to force the mistake from the 24.
I think at this track, you gotta play a little bit not nice to get passes done personally. You kind of gotta dive past the person, put your nose ahead of them, and just say, you know what, this is F1 style. I control the corner, and this is my corner, because that's how passing you're gonna have to get it done here. I think if you just try to pinch the truck off and hold the inside of somebody, they usually end up holding you off. So we'll see if the elbows get used, but it's still early in the race, so I'm not surprised to see these guys still racing it out pretty clean.
Another factor that we haven't really touched on, we knew that a lot of drivers are going to be thinking, cut this race in half, make sure you've got equal distance on tires, but tire wear, looking at the lap times, majority of the field, especially for our leaders, they're running about 1.5 seconds, almost 2 seconds slower than their fastest times. I gotta say, Zach, this is getting to that position where maybe an undercut is a strategy call you want to make.
It very well could be, and you are well within the zone to pit right now and make it on fuel. It's just you're gonna have to, maybe ease those tires in a little bit easier here on this run, but you will get that advantage of coming down a little bit earlier here with that stop. I think the major thing is to see Tyler Dangler and Gaudio side by side through that final corner, is that allows Fonseca to try to drive away. I think getting into pit road is going to be the critical thing here. Such an awkward pit entry. You could lose seconds just by mistakes there. So we'll see who gets it right once these sequences come up. This battling great right here.
Absolutely fantastic between Gaudio and Dangler. Continue to fight side by side, enabling Cody Reed to get now into the picture. Waiting in the wings is the 25 machine is a 3, locking up the rear ends just slightly, almost drifts into the grass, allowing Cody Reed now to have a picture and a shot to maybe dive it down low into the chicane, as they'll all stay in line for now. Gaudio, though, he was really risking it all there through turns 1 all the way to 4, and now actually Tyler Dangler finds an advancement up on top of the hill. He'll stay side by side as they're about to make the downhill climb.
Oh man, this is some great racing here going on. Dangler was holding off Gaudio, now back to the inside of Fonseca just 1 lap later. And it is great to see as he's going to dive left there. I think he may be pulling a pit stop, maybe? No,
he just grazed the grass. It shot him down to the inside because he slightly grazed the grass. And that was a great save by the 19. Now going to enable him to try to go with a late dive bomb move as Tyler Dangler, quick on the throttle, fires up the rear end, slips and slides on the outside. Don't want to go into the grass, but a quick shimmy and shake as it enables that. Going to be the 24, Ollie Fonseca, who had barely any practice coming into tonight's race. He defends once again, but here's the chicane. It's just a constant conveyor belt of chaos with this pack of 4 drivers on who's willing to make a mistake, and just no one's able to pounce just yet.
This defense from Fonseca is excellent, and one thing I'm starting to notice from turn 1, you kind of want to be on the outside of somebody there. It really sets you up for really turn 3, more or less, than anything. It just seems like that corner is where everybody that's stuck on the outside can't get anything done. So being on the outside through 1 and 2 seems to be very good because it gives you that inside for 3.
Ollie Fonseca gonna have the spacing, try to pull away, and no one's able to make the pass just yet. These 4 drivers will stay in line. Still looking to see if anyone's going to make a pit stop. Aaron Krok's the only one to do so. He made that pit stop 3 laps ago, but he also was dealing with some major damage. But for our front runners, still, it is all Nick Crawford, and the gap up to 3 seconds now for himself.
I tell you what, Nick Crawford he's a man on the mission tonight, Sam, because he's just really found such a good long run rhythm, and not too surprised because this is when he's won the road course races. This is what his strength has been the long runs. But look ahead of him. This is what Vince Sor might get a smile on his face because he has got massive traffic ahead. This is going to hold him up a ton.
right through the chicane. Ryan Ferraro holds back the leader, gets out of the way immediately when they're spacing, and that's going to drop the gap out almost down to a full second difference from where it was at before. Now Nick Crawford gasses it up, hitting these last bend to the straightaway, and seeing a little bit more traffic ahead, but honestly, that little moment costing about a half a second in time to Vincent Sora.
And I tell you what, it cost a half a second in time, but as soon as he cleared him, he pulled that half second back and looked a record ahead of him. GT Rosario off track. Looks like Mason Cassidy off to the left is now. This is going to allow Nick Crawford to get through freely, and it may hold Vincent Sora up a little bit here with Mason Cassidy kind of in between them.
Hard on the brakes, contact on the entry of turn 1 between Mason Cassidy and GT Irizarry with the spill in front of our leaders, and luckily enough space to allow them to just drive on by. But a scary spot for Vincent Sora, as almost contacted himself the 14, and now through the chicane, it's Mason Cassidy kind of being the hold up in the moving chicane for the 15 as they hit the top of the hill and start with turn going to be 8 into 9. Trying to reel in that 74 Nick Crawford, and Crawford himself, I mean, he's not completely out of the woodworks just yet because he still has Kralik and a few other drivers that's in front of him.
That he does. He's definitely not out of the woodwork, so to say, but I think the biggest thing for him, he's just got to stay patient, because I tell you, Vincent Sora has destroyed the rear tires. He has no grip in the last sector through those high-speed corners. His car just does not have that drive off the corner anymore that Nick Crawford really has superior over him compared to right now. And it's even pretty even all the way through the first really handful of corners through these laps. Even it's almost somewhat faster, but it's really this back half that Crawford just has such better drive through the corners.
As pit stops are underway, first drivers to take the stop was Cody Reed, Aldo Fonseca. Danny Cochran has now just entered pit road. John Force, Christopher Norris battled for third place. The 11 has been just chipping away, and I think it's more so his competition ahead of him have been losing grip. Forbes was able to get by Danny Cochran, and now right on the back bumper of Christopher Norris. Norris has a hard decision. Does he stay out for an extra lap, or does he hit this time into pit road, trying to keep this positioning when the pit cycle completes?
It's going to be a tough question for him, because this is a teammate battle. What is he going to do here? Like, this is right on the edge of when you want to pit, and I think Vincent Sora actually has pulled it off. Vincent Sora into pit road here, folks. And look, Norris and Forbes going to follow him down.
And they hit the chicane, a pit stop, and pit road speed limit 35 miles per hour when they are exiting out of the final bend. They're going around 120 to almost 150 miles per hour at time. As our leader, Nick Crawford, able to get by lap traffic. He'll now move up to the top of the hill. And will Nick Crawford pit this lap, as he's now making the slow march into the final corner? And the hard decision, as other drivers have already made their stops. Cedric Hunter also has joined into pit road. Vincent Sora has moved out to fourth after finishing his stop, and here comes our leader into pit road. It's Nick Crawford. Hit his marks. Following in suit, it's going to be the 50 machine of Matthew Greathouse, Samuel Garcia, excuse me, in the 50 machine. Who else will decide to pit this go around?
It's going to be the big question here, Sam. We'll see what the difference is going to be between our leaders, too, when they all cycle through. I think Talmadge may cycle through to be the leader here and get that lap led. That's going to be a big thing for him. But actually, he's coming in anyways, so he's not going to stay out for another lap. Jarrett Talmadge comes down. Looks like Thomas Green's going to follow him, so it's going to cycle our leaders back to the front. Vincent Sora crossing the start-finish line now. Nick Crawford into turn 1. So Crawford, great job holding off the undercut.
And it looked to be all that lap traffic that Vincent Sora had to worry about. It just cost the 15 too much time. Even with the early pit stop, only able to gain about a full second on Nick Crawford. Not enough time, the undercut. It was not worth it. You needed to make the pass of your Sora with that early pit stop, and instead, he's got to chase, burn up more rubber, and that is already a great sign for Nick Crawford that it can be patient on this run with how equal the pace has been between those top two contenders.
1000% agree, Sam. This mountain has got a lot taller to climb for Vincent Sora. He needed to undercut Nick Crawford to really have a good opportunity, in my opinion. Crawford's just been too good in the long run, and right now it's going to allow Crawford really to let those tires come in pretty evenly. So we'll see how that works for the gap here. But right now, Gaudio, we're watching right here in this 3 machine, battling for his life as they have yet to pit with Joshua Kanata ahead.
It is 4 drivers, 4 position. Joshua Kanata going to be entering pit road. Gaudio going to be following in suit. An aggressive pit entry for the 16. And it's now going to be giving the 3rd and 4th place positions to the teammate of Snowy Desert Racing. Christopher Norris, John Forbes, they continue to fight back and forth for that 3rd place position. All the way back in 10th, we see the 00 of Thomas Green, but we have to move back to this shot because Norris is not giving up, but Forbes looks to be in the better positioning as they make their way through turn 4, hit the back stretch of the no-name stretch, and it's the 11 finally able to make the pass on Christopher Norris.
Great job by Forbes. He has been fighting tooth and nail to get this done, but he makes a mistake, and that's going to give him a slowdown. Give the position back, young fella, because here comes the 38.
Able to complete the slowdown, but Norris makes the pass as it's all that work and all that pressure is it for nothing because it's allowed Danny Cochran now to get into the mix. We got a 3-horse battle for who's going to get 3rd as John Forbes exits the corner. He'll have the draft, the momentum, but will he be able to ship it down into turn number 1?
Cochran about 1 lap older in the tires, but he's liking what he's seeing here. The mistakes have allowed these two to get back into its clutches, and if these two teammates get into it, you never know. Cochran could take up the spoils here, so to say, so we'll see how Forbes can try to work his way back around the 38.
I mean, both of these drivers pretty set in stone in where they're at coming into tonight's race between John Forbes and Christopher Norris. Norris doesn't have a win, but he's got enough points that he's not really worrying about if he's going to get locked in or not into the playoffs. He's up in 5th place coming into tonight. John Forbes coming in tonight already has a win, and Danny Cochran, he also has a win. So these 3 drivers, they can risk it all on who's going to get 3rd.
I think, and big risks going to be taken here for a lot of these drivers in these positions, so we'll see how they do it. But Cochran, you can see, I think with those little older tires, you can just see those two start to pull a little bit of a gap here. Or maybe Cochran's going to maybe play a little bit of a game here to save a little tire. I mean, you know, you learn so much from that first run of this race, and I think a few of these guys maybe said, man, I really just didn't work my tires in those first couple laps the right way.
As we take a lap right along with Danny Cochran, get a sense of lap traffic, influence the battle for 3rd, and the 2 picking and choosing when he wants to get onto the throttle. And I mean, Zach, we're seeing it even on the RPMs. Those RPMs are so low. They are really coasting it through those first couple of corners. Then here in the chicane, hard on the brakes, great pass, and oh no, right Ferraro, Danny Cochran making some slight contact through the chicane. And those are those moments you never want to have, and Ferraro spun around, issues, and has to take the toe to pit road.
Shows you how quick things can go pear-shaped, so to say. And man, oh man, this 34 of Ferraro gonna lose it right here, as you're gonna see Norris, the 11 of Forbes come through. And Ferraro's just gonna try to gas up, hits that curb, and there's Cochran who's just gonna make a little bit of contact. Really nowhere for the 2 to go. I mean, he's just expecting, you know, to be able to go through there normally, but the 34 kind of there, just letting those 2 by. Kind of unfortunately right in the way.
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting a snail's pace going through those chicanes, and you're trying to gas up, keep the momentum, trying to go up the hill. And if you let off at any moment, you're costing yourself so much time and momentum. And for Ryan Ferraro, he'll take the toe to pit road. We'll see if he'll get back out on track, because it's going to be a long time before he's back out on course. 2 laps down is Ferraro. Currently, drivers that are on the lead lap, only 12, but we might be down to maybe just 7 on the lead lap by the time this race is over, with how quickly we're seeing our leaders just clock down lap after lap. But Tyler Dangler, he's on the charge, he's on the march, gets by Martin Morales in the 91, and now the sights are set back to Joshua Kanata.
This is going to be fun to see how this all works out now, as these different strategies are played. As, oh man, the 19 of Tyler Dingler are getting a little too much curb on the entry. Luckily, he's able to gather that back up and get it going. But yeah, this is going to be fun to see how many cars they can even put a lap down, because like you said, Sam, I think you could see upwards of 7 cars on the lead lap here, maybe 8 when we get done. I think for sure we're going to lap all the way up to 9th.
9th looks solid, but with the way that we're seeing some of these drivers running and racing against one another, I mean, we just crossed over to the halfway of this race, and the teammates not giving an inch still, as you've got, you know, Christopher Norris, John Forbes, they're racing with one another. Also, Danny Cochran and Vincent Soares' teammate, Cedric Hunter, he's racing with some lap traffic as the 7 trying to get by Justin Smith, who's had a rough race here tonight. Cedric running in that 6th place position for the 7. Gotta give kudos to Cedric. Entered this season a little bit later than everyone else was expecting, and still able to be in a points position placement, be in the playoffs. Comes in tonight 10th in points, even with missing 2 races this season.
Yeah, that's a really good job by the 7 team there to do that and gain those points throughout the season, get some stage points, and really position himself well here, not have too many worries with these final 2 races. And just doing another solid performance here tonight at a road course is kind of his MO, is get decent points. He's never going to be a race winner, so to say, but he's going to be one of those drivers that fights for the edge of the fringe of the top 5, and always a top 10 road guy. So definitely good points for him once again. But I think next week, mark my words, I think next week might be his opportunity for his first win of the season.
There's a couple of other drivers also that have that race circled to have a chance to make the playoffs. As again, if top 25 in points, they will be able to lock yourself in with a win. Cody Reed had the big slip up early on, went from driving inside of our top 8 all the way down to probably 15th position. Well, he's done the climb to get up to 9th place for the 25, as he's got Kanata as well as Tyler Dangler trying to bear down for this positioning. And the big thing that's hurting Cody Reed, he was one of the first drivers to hit pit road. 4-lap difference in tires. Still slightly faster than Kanata as long as Cody Reed hits his marks, and that's the thing, staying consistent. It seems to be a hard task to do here at Lime Rock.
It really does seem to be a pretty hard task to hit your marks consistently, and it's just a track that personally it's got to be kind of mind-numbing, because it's so tight and technical, but only such small in length. So a lot of times you think those technical racetracks, you think the tracks with upwards of 20-30 corners sometimes at road courses, but here 9 corners, it doesn't matter how many it is, though it can still twist your brain pretty good. So it is definitely fun to see. And the one thing I've been watching the most throughout this sequence is likes of Nick Crawford. Really, I mean, he is just putting along, just trying to keep those tires in a good position, because Vincent Sora has run the gap down multiple times and even got held up about a second by Fonseca making a mistake in front of him. So this 15 not out of it yet.
He really isn't, and with the grouping of 3 drivers that are in front of Nick Crawford, that being Tyler Dangler, Joshua Kanata, Cody Reed, those 3 drivers, I mean, every position that you take and you put a driver down, they're getting faster and faster. And for Nick Crawford, yes, you might be, running about a half a second faster at moments, but those half seconds are based off the exit of the corner, and you might catch some of these lap cars in bad spots if they're not willing to just pull over and gift you those positions, as only 1 lap car is the difference. That Anthony Gaudio being splitting up our top 2, the gap being a little bit over 2 seconds. This is about to get fun for how our leaders want to deal with this racing, as this track here at Lime Rock, you could say it's kind of the Bristol of road course races, with how small this course has been and how fast each lap is. Lap traffic's going to be a factor, as Nick Crawford about a lap to about 2 laps away from really being in the thick of traffic on how he has to work his way through this.
20 laps to go here. Man, this is going to be wild. We've got about 18 minutes, 19 minutes to decide this race, and you can see the traffic ahead here. This has got to be looming on Nick Crawford's mind. How can I navigate these 3? If I put these 3 in between me and Vincent Sora, I think this could be the moment that you need. But, it's going to be so tough. These 3 are racing each other. They're not going to be looking to just pull out the way, but we'll see how Crawford's able to do it as they're racing side by side in front of him.
And Kanata's going to have the big slip up. It's going to allow Tyler Dangler to get to the inside. The 16, slight wiggle in front of the 74, as Crawford trying to settle in. He needs a better exit out of this last bend. Otherwise, might be seeing Vincent Sora right on that back tail very quickly here. As where will Kanata go? Does the 16 just hit his marks and race with his other competition for position, or does he get out of the way for the leader? Different strategies, but the 16, the 19, 25, they have every right to run in the preferred lane.
That they do. They have the right, and some drivers will even play the little bit of a game where you let the leader by when you're in a close battle like this, then try to follow the leader through on the passes to the people ahead of you. So we'll see if Kanata can do that. But right now, definitely a factor right now is Crawford is going to get by him there. Is Kanata going to do the good thing there to pull left? Because Man, Crawford was losing major amounts of time there as now they head up to the hill.
But Crawford hit the turtle. He hit the turtle, and it was a big jump. And over the radio, seemed a little bit nervous after that slam. Had to check to see if he got any required damage, because if you hit that turtle wrong, you can get some internal damage to the engine. If it has to scrape under the vehicle, looks to be all right. But a loss, it is now less than 2 seconds the difference between first and second.
Big loss of time, and this is what we talked about, lap traffic playing a factor coming into this race. It's never over. What this kind of reminds me of is a Martinsville style race. You get that leader who gets out there, builds the gap up, does a great job of doing it. He gets the traffic, gets kind of stuck in that traffic, loses time, and then next thing you know it, you have the second place driver all over your back bumper with that gap you had just that little while ago. It's just gone. And look right here, he's going to make the pass on, looks like Tyler Dingler, and that's going to be crucial for him, as now here comes Kanata. He's trying to come through.
Nick Crawford able to already get by 2 of the 3 lap cars in front of him in easy modes. And for Vincent Sora, yes, you look at the lap times, he's closed in the gap, but he's got 2 drivers he now has to work to get by. And I'm not sure if they're just going to let on over. They might have to do a similar mode of, you know, you get out of the way, going into the chicane, hope that the drivers hit their marks. But at this time, Vincent Sora just not close enough to enable these drivers to just pull to the side and let the 15 drive up and catch up to Nick Crawford. And also, you gotta think, there might be still some underneath alliances who wants to give up the position for Vincent Sora, because hey, some drivers don't like to see one driver win them all, and they might fight a little bit harder to hold back some crews.
I think that's a for sure thing that happens a lot of times in racing, and I think you might see that play a little factor here. It's still going to go by Kanata now and get past him. He's got to focus now as Dingler. But Reed off the track in front of Crawford.
He overzealous did. He just completely just threw his truck out of the way, and that actually is going to hurt. It's going to give now Vincent Sora 1 lap, passes 2 of the lap cars. Now he just has Tyler Dangler in front. That was a complete backfire, I think, of what we wanted to see from the 25, as the teammate might have actually helped out Vincent Sora there.
Possibly just a little bit there, but I think we'll see how it's going to work now, as Crawford going to be setting up Aaron Krog to get around him, but Vincent Sora can see up ahead. That's really all it is.
Battle for third place, though. There is a hectic mountain. Danny Cochran, as well as John Force, Christopher Norris, they're all on top of one another. They were actually 3 wide going off of turn number 7 for a quick moment, and Danny Cochran will take that 2 for 1. He'll now slot into third place, as the teammates of Snowy Desert Racing got a little bit too overzealous between themselves.
And I tell you what, it went back to it, looked through it. It was Christopher Norris getting into the chicane too hard. Will Hops almost loses it, gets into his teammate, and then from there, Danny Cochran took advantage of it. So I think here you see Norris going to give that position to Forbes due to that hit.
Gives it up to the teammate. Now going to be allowing the 11 to try to have a second chance to run down Danny Cochran, but that is 2 times, 2 separate moments. Snowy Desert Racing, they just costed themselves here tonight, as Cochran Sora Racing drivers.
Sora
Racing, and oh no!
Vincent Sora's around in turn 1. I don't know if it was him and Aaron Kralik just coming together, but man, oh man, Sora's around, and this is going to be a 10-second gap. Nick Crawford can take a deep breath.
Deep breath in with Vincent Sora losing so much of this time and ground. Just throw it all away, as we're going to see here on the replay. Vincent Sora trying to take the corner. Kralik just cuts the nose. And that small tap for the 15, with how loose these cars have been at every corner, loops around. And all that time that was gained, throw it away. It is now Nick Crawford's race to lose.
Oh, man, what a crazy scene here. Did not expect Vinny to throw it away like that, but he's been pushing so hard, man, and those rear tires just must have got hot. They were trying to dive to the inside of that 01 and just couldn't keep the rear end from stepping out. But Crawford now with the big gap, he's just got to be smart. But this group's still battling. Gaudio right behind Reed, Kanata, Dingler, and also I believe you got Kralik up ahead of him, who's a couple laps down. Yeah,
we got our 2 major pods of 3 to 4 drivers on top of one another. It's the battle that's going on for 9th place and the battle for 3rd. For the best that's going on. And it's tough to keep action on both, because they're both doing similar things, where you've got the top 2 drivers on top of one another, and then the other 2 just waiting in the wings for mistakes. And right now, the battling for 3rd, it's Danny Cochran and John Force. The battling for 9th is Tyler Dangler and Joshua Kanata. But Kanata might be in a better spot to try to get a position where he's trying to hold off Cody Reed, but they also have lap traffic of Aaron Kralik in front of them.
They do. This is going to get very, very spicy, I believe, between this grouping. They can see him coming up on Kralik here now. As Dingler's going to try to find the way to the inside. But if he loses any time, it's going to be Kanata, Reed, Gaudio knocking on that back bumper.
Deja vu, thought for a second, but Kralik stays high, goes into the grass, thought he was going to cut down in front of Josh Kanata, get the 16 spin around, not going to be the case. Instead, the 01 just lets the crew drive on through as they will stay in line. 4 drivers, all for position. It's the 19 of Tyler Dangler, Joshua Kanata, Cody Reed, and Anthony Gaudio. The battle for 9th place has been a good one with 13 laps to go. Other great battling positions is for 3rd. But every spot matters so much for some of these drivers, especially for Tyler Dangler again. Outside looking in to tonight's race, he was 17th in points. After tonight's race, he could be inside of our top 16 going into the last race of the regular season next week at Las Vegas. As we hop on board with John Forbes, seeing Danny Cochran right in front of him for 3rd place into the chicane where big mistakes have costed drivers here tonight. The 11 gets a good launch, and he's trying to run down this 2.
And this is the run for the podium. And I tell you what, the crazy thing to say is the 7 of Cedric Hunter's not out of this race either. He's just caught up to Christopher Norris, about a 1.5 seconds back from these 2. And it is on, guys. This is going to be a great race here for the podium, as I think Forbes was going to take a look. But now Cedric Hunter going to make the easy pass from Christopher Norris up to the 5th.
And I think for Christopher Norris, he kind of had his fun of trying to challenge other drivers now at this point. Just survive, make your race to the end. Don't want to cause to have too many enemies for yourself, but just in front of that crew, also seeing John Forbes, Danny Cochran, they still are bumper to bumper, even through turn 4, and Forbes might have a chance here to try to dive bomb it into the chicane.
See if he does it here. It doesn't like he's going to take the hard right-hand turn. Looks like he's just going to try to follow, maybe make that mistake, but a little loose there. Safe for Cedric Hunter. He goes around after getting past Norris.
Goes around burning up those rear ends as he's trying to gas it back up, and other drivers trying to steal position, and it's going to be Jared Talmadge now slotted into 6th, able to get by the 7 machine. Almost that Thomas Green able to get through for even 7th position. We're seeing some drivers really falling apart, and it's the teammates from Sora Cochran Racing having the issues.
Oh no, big mistakes there from the 7, and that is really going to make trouble for him, as now Green back there is going to be taking his opportunities on him. But Forbes has his sights set. We got the cam up. The focus is on Sam, and he knows what's available to him right here. A podium position on the line.
I mean, at some of these tracks, you're able to talk to your teammates on Discord, maybe try to josh your way through the slog moments of a race. But with 10 laps to go and seeing a challenger right in front of you, you have to hit your marks, and that chicane just seems to get more and more difficult as those red turtles seem more and more promising for drivers to hit.
And they do. I tell you what, as the pace is considerably dropped from our leaders too, also as of Nick Crawford and Vincent Sora. I mean, these guys are running much slower times than they've ran all day. Really, everybody is, and it's starting to show here. Is I don't think we're going to have as many people go lap down. Probably let's say we're in with about 9 here. Drivers on the lead lap, or sorry, 8 drivers on the lead lap, and unless something major catastrophic goes wrong.
Yeah, and Cedric Hunter might be in that spot because of that spin and doing around 7 machines, rear tires so shot. I think at this moment, Cedric could be in a position where he might have to even pit with how worn these tires are. He's trying to resettle, but all his other competition just running faster than the 7 because of them having cooler tires to work with these corners.
Completely agree, and you know that's what iRacing really is from that lately. It's not really comes down to who's wore the tires out the most. It's really who overheats the tires, and those spins and getting back up the speed like that really lights those tires up, and it's hard to get those temperatures to slowly work their way back down. Even the same thing really has plagued our 2nd place driver Vincent Sora ever since his spin. He's just been way off the pace compared to a lot of people. So it just shows you heat those tires up just one moment, and it can all go really wrong.
Anthony Gaudio putting the pressure on the back bumper of the Barbie machine. Tyler Dangler for 9th place, 9th and 10th position on screen with 9 laps to go for Nick Crawford, who now is in a comfortable position. But Crawford, with how fast that 74 has been running lap times compared to the rest of the field, I don't think Crawford's out of the woodworks yet of even more lap traffic. He's closing in on a lot of traffic that he's going to have to deal with here as Gaudio gets by Tyler Dangler and he's on the charge. Now to see if he could catch up to anyone else, but he's going to need those other drivers to make some major mistakes. And Zach, temperature, the weather, we talked about it. When at the start of the race, the track temp was just 88 Fahrenheit. It's now 96 degrees out there.
I remember coming into the session, it was around 76 when the session first opened up that track temp. I mean, it has climbed. Like 96 degrees, that is a completely huge difference. And I'm sure these drivers are feeling it. I mean, some of the lap times I'm seeing are some of the slowest we've seen from really a lot of these guys on even the, they haven't even got to the farthest distance they ran in that first run. So we'll see who can hang on. But those hotter temperatures have definitely played a factor.
They certainly have, as the field trying to see where you can slot yourself to move forward, gain any more spots. At the moment, Nick Crawford has been the dominator, got the pole, and he has been up front all race long and leading the most laps. Now just trying to get the win, the exact scenario that Vincent Sora did all the way back in season 1. As your top 5 currently, Nick Crawford, Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, John Force, Christopher Norris. Thought at one moment we were going to go to a commercial break, but really the action's been so hot and heavy, it's been hard to even step away, Zach. We've had to keep our sights on all the action here this evening.
It definitely has been super exciting to watch. I mean, really anything could have happened, but I think it's really went wrong for a lot of guys. But if you look at this truck right here, he has had very few mistakes. I mean, it really took his time through lap traffic, managed it well. And with a 20-second gap, almost 21 seconds here now, these last 5 laps or 6 laps for him is just going to be, about victory laps pretty much at this point. And just hitting your marks, stay out of any trouble up ahead, and just take your time.
It has just been all about those moments of perfection, consistency. And for Nick Crawford, he's closing in on Mark Morales and Mason Cassidy, both just running laps, not running for position. We'll see how the 91 and the 17 are going to get out of the way, if they even decide to get out of the way of our leader. With 6, soon to be 5 laps to go here tonight. Thank you so much to everyone that's joined with us. I know it's been a quick race. That's what these road course races kind of turn into, are quick sprints. As you're watching the ISRC Larry Productions Truck Series, Season 6, Race 10 of the season, the Lemon Stone Extravaganza. We've had some very shocking moments, and even more of a shocking moment. Battle for 5th place is underway, and it's Jared Talmadge trying to take another position, and it's over Christopher Norris in the 38 machine.
What a drive for Jared Talmadge. Once again, getting stage points and getting great race finish points. So he's going to clearly push himself, I think, into above that cut line coming out of the night, and he's going to be looking to be in a very good, solid position when we head to Las Vegas. He's just got to continue the trend he's been on. If he can continue the run he has, he could be very well point his way.
As one of the lap cars, Mark Morales gets out of the way for Nick Crawford. Other great battles going on course. The battle for 11th is Joshua Kanata and Cody Reed. They've been on top of one another. Other closing groups was the shot we were just looking at. Is Kanata going way too wide, and it's going to allow Cody Reed to go through the outside groove. He'll take that position for himself. Up to 11th place is Cody Reed, who's had a very up and down type of a race for himself. But he'll take that spot in. Now just try to find some consistency with these final 4 laps of the race.
That he will. Definitely try to find some consistency, and I think Reed's going to be definitely disappointed tonight with the road course history he's shown. This is definitely a little bit off tilter for him, but definitely, a lot of that success coming from Watkins Glen. So this track, in my opinion, very, very different. That very much a stop and go track compared to a high speed track that we see at Watkins Glen. So I can see where the struggles could come from, but luckily getting that position from Kanata going to give him some more points here at the end of the night.
For our leader, though, of Nick Crawford, exiting the final corner, hitting the straightaway, going to be turning this race to 3 laps to go. I mean, what a run it's been, and there's plenty of space. Shouldn't have to worry about lap cars from here on out. But unless those drivers ahead of Nick Crawford have some spin outs and force the 74 to catch up to him, should be clean racing until the end.
That should be. I think it's going to be clean selling for him. And I tell you what, I don't think it's going to happen, but Danny Cochran is closing in the Vincent Sora at a rapid rate. It's about a second and a half at times faster from the 2 machine, and it's only 5 seconds separating them. If we see a big mistake from Vincent Sora, he could give up that second position, surprisingly.
We also are going to jump back to the battle for 6th place. We got 3 drivers right on top of one another. That's Christopher Norris, Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter right back at it. Cedric Hunter had his spin. Now wants to grab some of these positions back as Thomas Green goes a little bit too wide. 3 laps to go. Going to be 2 laps to go for a leader as he crosses the line. And for Cedric Hunter, he'll take that spot. Now Amy decides to try to get by his former teammate of Christopher Norris. Hunter right on the back bumper. Will Norris be able to defend because those rear tires look so flamed and wicked loose that Cedric Hunter could be stealing this spot at any moment?
That he could be, man. This is very intense to watch, and you see this where Hunter made his big mistake, and it seems like it's taken a long time to get those rear tires back into the mode, but it seems like he's been able to drive a little bit better here as we're going to watch Christopher Norris in these final few moments trying to hold off the 7 for 6th.
Christopher Norris, final bend. He'll hit the front stretch, plenty of space to work with, about a half a second in distance as they continue to race on. That Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran battle, it's now down to 4 seconds, but leaving the last corner now is Nick Crawford as he's about to be taking the freaky fast white flag. Crawford has hit his marks. He'll cross the line. It's official. The white flag is out of the air for the 74 of Nick Crawford.
This has been an excellent showing from the 74. I mean, just stellar. And this is going to put him in the realm of, adding to that win column to try to challenge that 15 of Vincent Sora. And I think he made a strong claim tonight with this run that hey, the 15 probably was the favorite coming to a lot of road courses, but I think the 74 just said, hey, I'm going to be a challenge for you anywhere you go.
I mean, that first season, yeah, Vincent Sora was the dominator of almost every track we went to. And since then, you look at road courses, it's been toss-up about 3 or 4 drivers. When we go to these more unique tracks, it's been the 74 of Nick Crawford. Road America so many times where he thought victory lane was calling for him. Well, here tonight, the internet held up, the power held up. Nick Crawford exits the final bend and will be the winner of the Lemon Stone Extravaganza. Nick Crawford grabbing his 3rd win of the season.
What a job by Crawford, able to get it done from pole position. And he had a few moments where he was pressured, but he did not crack and showed what he's done in the past. Just had that consistent long run pace and pulls it off.
Other battles are still going on track. The battle for 5th place is underway between Talmadge and also going to be Cedric Hunter as they're going to be right on top of one another, bumper to bumper, heading down in the last bend. I don't think Cedric Hunter's going to be there unless there's a mistake by the 10 machine as he exits out of turn number 9. It's going to be seen 5th place to Jarrett Talmadge. Cedric Hunter will fall down to 6th. Other drivers that are battling side by side was for 7th place. And Christopher Norris, Thomas Green, they'll be battling side by side, but give it to Green, who will take 7th place. Norris falls to 8th. Those were some great battles coming to the end as some slight contact between the 00 and the 38 machine there late.
Just a little bit to add there to the end, but this is the guy who got it done, folks. Just an excellent run from him all the way down to it.
Burn it down, Nick Crawford. 3rd win of the season so far and trying to carry the momentum into Las Vegas next week. As Nick Crawford has his fun, we are going to step away. When we come back, it's the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3 and a spotlight driver right after this.
Wall that causes him to get into the 01.
Yeah, you can see the 24 and the 01. They're side drafting, not hard, but they're side drafting. And now you got Christopher Norris there. He pushes Ollie up, and now this is where the mess starts. We're going to see exactly what happens. He's running on the outside. Oh, he scrapes the wall. Oh, and then he's down in the Kralik, and then forget it. He is going for a ride. Look at that. Oh, does he save? Does he save it? Almost saves it into the wall, but like you said, everybody else behind him, unfortunately, got involved into it because they couldn't check up in time.
Very, very tough break there. Christopher Norris there just got to the outside wall, and he went down the racetrack, got Aaron Kralik, who got a feel for the 01, was having such a fantastic race involved in that incident. And
again,
Yeah, just wrong place at the wrong time there for the 01, and this incident has
Oh, the sun's
really.
coming out.
Yeah, actually, I was about to say our viewing experience might be getting a little better here because I think some of these clouds are parting away from the track, and the humidity seems to be clearing. Is this down to 95% humidity?
Yeah, got the sun burning up the humidity here. But as we are under caution, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be our time for us to take a little bit of break. You're going to where you be able to clip segments out that you like to highlight, and you make that clip, and maybe it'll feature in one of our shorts that we put on YouTube and TikTok. So if you see something exciting out there, make sure you clip it and you share it to your friends, and it will go into our database and might be able to use it. But here we go, Zach. We're going to get ready to rock and roll.
Here we go. Race number 9 of season number 6. 3 races to go in the regular season. It's spring break at the Tricky Triangle, presented to you by the Serenity Escapes. And it's the green flag as they cross that start-finish line and head down to turn 1. Nick Crawford from the second position. Robert, huge start for him. But look at that third row. It's going to be the driver on the bottom there looking through. It looks like that's Anthony Gaudio.
I think Gaudio's going to be looking, but you can see him.
Cedric Hunter.
Oh, no. Does he save it? Does he save it? No, he does
The
not.
wrecking.
It is the huge one. Clip it, baby. It is bad. And no yellow?
Cedric
Yeah, yellow's
Hunter.
out now. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, yellow was coming out there, and it all kind of started around the 7 of Cedric Hunter. I believe he got loose first. Gaudio, I believe, may have got a tap from the 16 of Kanata from there, and that sends him around. Vincent Sora slightly involved. So multiple drivers here, and it looks like, I think, a thought that's got to be in his mind to get up through the field, because we've talked about it. You know, the bonus point column in that second right-hand group that we just.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting's post-race show for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Race number 10 is in the books as we head down to Victory Lane to talk to your Lemon Stone Extravaganza winner. It's the 74 of Nick Crawford. Nick, congratulations on the win here tonight, and officially your 3rd of the season.
Thank you, Sam.
I mean,
sorry, it was hard.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was difficult. How are you feeling, though, taking this win away from the driver that I think a lot of people had circled up, Vincent Sora being the victor of tonight's race?
Well, fortunately, today I'm not hot and sweaty. I got a little air conditioner next to me, so that saved me. That probably helped a lot, actually. But the first half of that run, one thing that Vinny can do is he can put pressure in. My arms are all tensed up and tired right now, and they're sore. I'll probably feel it tomorrow, but it feels nice. If he wouldn't have spun out, I think I still would have beat him, but you never know with these kind of tracks.
Definitely never know, but what a clinical performance from you, Nick, there, man. I tell you, from pole, never really turning back since then. I mean, you talked about the pressure, but when you come out of pit road there with that gap that you had built and you held on to it after staying on a lap later, what do you say to yourself, especially when you see all that lap traffic that you had to work through? Because it seemed like you were definitely taking the patient route.
Yeah, one thing is coming out of pit road, I purposely I was gonna pit the lap before, but I thought Sam Garcia was gonna go down pit road, so I didn't want to take the chance of accidentally running into him. So I went out an extra lap. So I would have been on the same, but in practice, my teammate Norris, we practiced and saw that one lap advantage doesn't really make up a lot of time at this track. It seems like the tires don't wear a lot. It's more about the heat. And with lap traffic, honestly, you just gotta hope you catch them at the right time and then hope that they let you go. There were a lot of really nice drivers out there tonight. I don't think I really had any issues. Um, Even if I did get a little bit close and they were a little bit racy, they still ended up pulling over or taking the exit route on the chicane, which was really nice. I appreciate it.
Well, Nick, another day of getting bonus points for yourself with this win and also getting stage bonus points. What is the confidence now knowing you got one more race left in the regular season before the playoffs start in 2 weeks?
Sam, I have no way ever able to have confidence. I can never let myself have that. But if somebody else had it, they'd probably be excited. So we'll say I'm excited. I'm just glad that I didn't disconnect mid race like the Road Americas. So maybe it's just that track. But going into the championship playoffs. I really want to help my teammates any way I can. So at this point, I think I have the ability to.
Well, congratulations, Nick, on the victory once again. And now the floor is yours for any more shout-outs.
Of course, I want to thank you guys for putting on a great broadcast. But as always, I'm thanking my beautiful wife. She's doing a lot of schoolwork right now. Hopefully, she got to see a few laps there. But shout out to her. Shout out to my teammates. They're awesome to drive with. And Tyler, our little affiliate. They're great people and have a lot of advice and stuff and fun to be with in the chat. And then shout out to Zach for picking me to give me that extra pressure to do good.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight, the 74 of Nick Crawford. Congratulations, Nick, and good luck next week at Las Vegas.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from victory lane, we go down to second place to Vincent Sora, who won this race all the way back in season 1, will climb for second here tonight. Vinny, how are you feeling coming away with the second place finish, even with the slight mistakes and incidents that happened later on?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I hate losing, especially on a road course. This broke my winning streak on road courses, but honestly, tonight, there's nothing I can really say. There's no excuse I could make. I just got outran, which is probably the best way to lose, honestly. I hate to see someone just drive off into the sunset in front of me, but, you know, it's better than being dominant and losing because it's something out of your control. So, yeah, Nick just drove a perfect race tonight. I thought I had something for him early on in the race, and the one opportunity I had to pass him, he threw a block on it, and after that, it just felt like I had nothing on my rear tires. I made one move, and I lost it all completely, and felt like anything I did, I'd just lose tenths every corner, and he was yarding me. So yeah, he did great tonight. I made far more mistakes than I usually ever do anywhere, which sucks. I self-spun, which I haven't done, and I don't even know how long. But yeah, tonight wasn't bad for points. I can't really complain about B2. Just like I said, I hate losing, so hopefully I can get back in the win column next week.
Definitely a tough one to lose there, Vinny, like you said, man. But like you said, Crawford running almost a perfect race up front. It was going to be tough to get around him. Well, like you said, we saw you self-spin there. You know, after that, I mean, you talked about the rear tires being done in the first run. I'd imagine that's pretty much what you dealt with the rest of the time because it seemed like you were struggling to get to the end of the race.
Oh yeah, I was. It was a combination of driving mad and just already having no rear tires, and then yeah, the spin just killed me. I was going into the corner, wrecking through center, wrecking on exit, wrecking, touching the brakes, anything I did, I felt like I was wrecking. I had like 60% left rear at the end of the run. So yeah, no rear tires all night for me. So I need to definitely work on that before we go to the Roval in the playoffs.
I know the Roval isn't for a while, but we first have Las Vegas to finish out the regular season. After tonight's performance, you should have a pretty good, decent buffer to second place in points heading into next week. What is the confidence level for Las Vegas? And do you feel like that's kind of a redemption race since you didn't get it last back in season 1?
Yeah, I think Las Vegas should be a good race for me. It's across all leagues a really good track for me, but it seems like every time I go there, I'm never able to end up getting the win. Something always happens at the end after I have a pretty good handle on the race that costs me the win. So hopefully that doesn't happen next week. Hopefully I can get some more points and solidify the regular season championship. I think, obviously right now that's my goal, and then just build points to make myself have a comfortable first couple of rounds in the playoffs. But yeah, I just need to have a smooth race and not lose any points to the guys behind me.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform next week, Vinny. The floor is now yours, though, for any more shout-outs.
Yeah, first off, Nick, he drove a great race, so I'm going to keep my eye out for the Roval, and I'm gonna see if I can get redemption there. Shout out to everybody in here. It's a pretty clean race all night. Not bad for a road course, so good job to all those guys. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting, the league admins for putting it on, and my teammates at CSR.
Well, that is going to be your second place finisher, Vincent Sora, in the 15 machine, as he gets now prepared for next week at Las Vegas. Good luck, Vinny, and on trying to win next week and also trying to become the regular season champion.
Thanks, guys.
As we move away from second position, we go down to third, where we talk to Vinny's teammate, going to be Danny Cochran. Danny, Here tonight, you had a grueler of a duel between yourself, John Forbes, Christopher Norris. How are you feeling, though, coming away with a third place finish at the end of the night?
Yeah, dude, I'm dripping sweat. I feel like I just ran a marathon right now. Excuse me. Yeah, those guys had a blast battling with them there for a little while. Came out of the pits. You know, I tried to undercut. I picked up maybe a second or so doing that. Well, first of all, I killed the tires in the first stage. I was trying to get around the 00, and then trying to run down Norris, and I just killed the rears doing that. So I had to kind of tone it back a little bit in that second run. So I just tried to kind of keep the rears under me, and them battling helped me pull up to them. So, excuse me. I'm just getting over a sickness in case you can't tell, but I pulled up to them and let them battle it out. Then we were going through, I don't know, some people call it the kink, the S is the chicane, whatever you want to refer to it as. We was going through there. Norris gets sideways, they make contact, and then we ended up being able to get around them. So that was pretty cool.
Definitely a good job to get around them there, Danny, to pull off third tonight, man. I mean, you talked about the rear tires, and I think that's what two of the drivers we already had here talked about. How tough was it to keep them underneath there? Because it looked like everybody was struggling with that.
Yeah, there's definitely a learning curve to it. The truck had a tendency, especially in turn one, where it'd kind of want to do almost like this rolling motion whenever you're trying to turn and stay on the brakes. So that would kind of kick those rears out. But yeah, that really hurt the rear tires. And just trying to keep them under you, you know, trying to get through the gears through these corners. It was a lot of pressure trying to keep the rear tires under you, and I think that's why Nick was so good here tonight. He's excellent at throttle control. He ran a fantastic race. I don't know how he done it.
Well, Danny, we got one more race before the playoffs. What are you hoping to learn going into Las Vegas next week before we start the playoffs once again, trying to go for another championship?
The biggest thing with Vegas, man, is just trying to manage your tires versus track position, because where the draft is so strong there, everybody stays pretty close. And it's just going to be a matter of trying to keep the tires under you and still have enough wind to go forward, but not to lose any positions in the process. So that's going to be a big part of it. We haven't really done much mile and a half action this season, so I think it'll be a good opportunity to see where we stack up against Vincent and John, you know, the guys who have been ahead of us in points, see where we stand with them, because I think we have 1 or 2 mile and a half in the playoffs. So that'll be a good opportunity for that. And just getting to race with these guys, man. It's always a blast.
Yeah, looking at how the playoffs are going to be, there are 3 traditional mile and a halves, and then we also have the Super Speedway Atlanta to start the playoffs off. So there are a few that we're going to be seeing later on this season. But Danny, tonight, congratulations on third. And if you have any more shout-outs, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, Larry Arts Productions had this sweet scheme of theirs on board this week. Kind of based on a Baja Blast type of thing. I know I showed it to Zach there one day. He's a big fan of it, so that's pretty cool. Hot Lap Threads, you guys for broadcasting, the admins for putting this thing on. Norris and John had a fantastic time battling with them. Nick for winning the race. And all the moms out there rocking 2 shirts.
That's going to be the 2 machine of Danny Cochran going away in third place here tonight. Congratulations, Danny, and good luck next week at Las Vegas.
Thanks, guys.
As we move from third place, we're going to drop all the way down to 10th for our spotlight driver here tonight. Entered tonight's race 17th in points, and now exiting, it was going to be 15th in points instead of our top 16 for the playoffs. And a great spot to be heading into next week at Las Vegas. We have the 19 machine of Tyler Dangler. Tyler, you had a pretty solid race here this evening, coming away 10th. How are you feeling, though, after your performance here tonight?
I gotta be honest, Sam. I am a little shaken up. Had to run home from work just to get here with like 15 minutes left to practice. But luckily, it all worked out. Had some run-ins with a couple drivers throughout the race, but top 10 was what I needed.
It definitely seems like that's what you needed there, Tyler, because looking at the points, man, you are tied for 16th going into the final race of the regular season. Looks like you'll be tied with Dakota Moniz. I mean, and about 2 points above that 17th spot. So how do you feel with that news, and how do you feel about Las Vegas next week with that news too also?
Well, Zach, it seems like I'm going to be putting in a lot of laps and a lot of AI races to get prepared for next week, because I would like to make it into the playoffs this season. I can't remember my percentage or how many times I've actually made it into the playoffs throughout the ISRC history. But I'm hoping that I can get some good luck on my side. Las Vegas is usually momentum based with, actual drivers, but it'll just be a new experience for next week. New, aggression. Because I feel like this week I had to be a little bit more aggressive just to get myself into the position I want to be. But other than that, I feel prepared and ready.
Well, Tyler, it's been an incredible season for yourself. I know you were in the Discord call with, the strong running team of Snow Desert Racing. They all had pretty good finishes at the end of the night. How much did they help you throughout this race, trying to stay focused, or was there any talks about helping one another?
Well, realistically, Norris, Nick, and John were kind of in their own zip code throughout the race, and it was just kind of Cody and I struggling throughout the race to just kind of keep the car on track, and also just keep position. But other than that, we were just kind of back and forth with what lines we wanted to run, what people were kind of doing on track. Not very much information to be shared because we were so spread out and we were just on different strategies. But it's been a help to have them let me into their Discord call throughout the season. But so far, I get information when I can.
Well, Tyler, certainly it looked like you had a great run, even with the panic of trying to get into the session for yourself. Congratulations on 10th. And before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Well, I'd like to apologize to Ollie Fonseca. First of all, I don't really mean, and I don't like wrecking people. I was just looking back at the replay. It didn't seem like the move that I made was the correct one, but regardless, I kind of had to get past as quick as possible. But I apologize to Ollie. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting tonight. You guys always put on a good show, and definitely was a good show for the race that I sponsored tonight. I'd like to say hello, Mother, and hi, Lindsay, for watching the race. And thank my teammates that I don't have, but I do, of Snowy Desert Racing. And that's it.
Well, that will be your 10th place finisher here tonight. Tyler Dangler going to be in a tough spot heading into next week, but in a more preferred position for the last race of the regular season, try to make the playoffs. Tyler, good luck, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at some point during the playoffs, maybe.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam.
That will be the 19 machine of Tyler Dangler. Again, 10th place finish for the Barbie machine. As we get ready to take a look at our unofficial results here tonight. Certainly a grueler. Some drivers struggled at times to stay on course, but there was just one that had a perfect night overall. Almost led every lap here this evening. It's the 74, Nick Crawford, who will take the victory for the Lemon Stone Extravaganza here at Lime Rock Park. Vincent Sora, winner of this race all the way back in season 1, will come away second. Danny Cochran going to be in third. John Forbes fourth. Fifth, we find Jarrett Talmadge, who is in a great spot as well. If you look at the point standings, he has just been hitting his mark every single week, but he's going to need a perfect one next week for the 10. Cedric Hunter will take 6th. 7th goes to Thomas Green. Christopher Norris falls all the way down to 8th. 9th, Anthony Gaudio and Tyler Dangler finishing off our top 10.
And as we look through the rest of the running order, man, what a tough night it was for a few of these drivers farther down the order. Look at the likes like Aaron Craddock, who had to start from the back, and it just did not go well for him even. It just never got going very, very good. As you see some of the drivers such as Ryan Ferraro, Joshua Freed, Malik Kuntz, Jesse Thornick, and Tyler Horn, all those drivers ending much earlier in the night because Lime Rock definitely bit them.
Certainly did. It's a tough track. We didn't put enough practice in, and some of the drivers, I think it showed. It was a tough course to just show up and race at, but some of these drivers, I think they're excited to get away from, some of these oddball tracks, because the rest of the season, it is traditional NASCAR courses that these trucks usually go to, and it's Las Vegas next week. Zach, I think both of us know that track is going to be chaotic to watch. Who will bring out the drama that Las Vegas always seems to bring?
It's going to be fun to see for sure. Las Vegas, It's been the drama-filled one for a while in the mile and a half in the past ISRC, so I'm expecting that to come into play. And it's the final race of the regular season. We're going to see some desperation.
It is certainly going to be a fun one to watch. Do not want to miss it. That's going to be next Monday when we come back for more ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series action. Our middle race courses, you see for Tuesday and Wednesday, both are off. Their seasons are over. Gavin Rogers taking the championship for the BRB Racing League, and Benjamin Nelson taking a back-to-back championship in the WSSR Cup Series. WSSR, though, fun news, they're dropping their schedule. That schedule looks to be, it's going to be a handful for all drivers, as well as they're moving it back to the Gen 7 next-gen cars. Happy to be back to the current vehicle on Wednesday nights and Thursdays. It is the Open Setup League for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Those drivers put on a show each and every week. You do not want to miss Thursday night. That'll be our next Freaky Fast broadcast. But Zach, Lime Rock, certainly a fun race. Any final thoughts before we call it a night?
Lime Rock was definitely an excellent one. Shout out to Nick Crawford there, getting my 4th pick of the season right. I just had a feeling that watching him in practice, it just seemed like a track where the rear tires really had to be saved. And I think Danny Cochran said it best of anybody. It seems like Nick Crawford is really able to baby those tires and really work the throttle. He got it done tonight here at Lime Rock. So what a race it was. And man, one more race to close it out. I can't wait to see what Las Vegas is going to do.
This regular season has brought a lot of nostalgia back, seeing some old faces that haven't raced for a few seasons come back and put on a show just like tonight. Racetrack we have not seen since season 1, and it put on just as amazing of a show here this evening. Nick Crawford will take the crown and take the win as the drivers get set and prepared. Las Vegas next week, last race of the regular season. Who's in? Who's out? Who's willing to gamble it all? It's going to be a fun one to watch. But for tonight, here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us on your Monday night. It's been a pleasure. Next week, you do not want to miss. Again, who's in? Who's out? The end of the regular season. Will Vincent Sora be crowned the regular season champion, or could someone else steal that venture? And who's going to be in the top 16? Don't want to miss it at Las Vegas next Monday night. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, it's going to be Thursday night as the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series head to Richmond. 10th race of the schedule. Don't want to miss. It's going to be a fun one. Short track racing, next gens. Who's going to get the win? We'll have to find out in our next Freaky Fast broadcast.